And welcome everybody to Stitch Social. It's this afternoon on a Tuesday, and I'm kind of hanging out. I'm working on a behind the scenes of a video, but I need to get my stunts all completed before I can move on. So I'm just doing a quick little cowl that's supposed to be 8 inches long in the, well, 8 inches deep. And we're going to begin and carry on. So we're just, if you want to leave me any comments, anything that's on your mind, you can chat with me on here and see what's going on. So hopefully everything's good. It's pretty chilly here in Nova Scotia today. It's probably the coldest day I think so far. The winter it was minus 22 this morning. That was with the wind chill, which honestly we're Canadian, we can handle it, right? So it happens every year, and yet people are like, I can't believe it's this cold. And I'm like, my God, you're Canadian, you've seen this before, maybe. Depending where you live, of course, it changes everywhere. So I'm playing with Red Heart with Love yarn. The color is called Water Lily. I've had this yarn even back at home in Ontario. It moved with me. I may have had this yarn for at least 10 years, at least. Actually, it could be 12. I don't know. So anyway, I have 2 balls of it, and I thought, I can use it, and if it looks like sin, then hopefully it won't. But if it does, then we'll see how it goes. But it's a great donation project either way, because people probably would like the colors of this. Here, I have a hard time using variegated yarn. Generally speaking, it just doesn't speak to me as much as other yarns do. So, but I have it, and I could always give it away if I didn't like it that much. So is anybody hanging out today, or you can leave me any comments that you have going in your mind. It is laundry day today, so Daniel's doing his laundry. So you probably hear that in the background. And we'll see what's buzzing around here on YouTube today. Did get a video replaced today. Inspired by Grace, week number 5. I never realized there'd be such a kickback if I just do a summary video versus actual stitch work. So kind of fix that up today before it goes live on Thursday. But it is the end of the stitch along. We have a new stitch along coming. I think it's going to launch in March. I think I had a over an hour length conversation with Yarn Inspirations yesterday with the team there. I haven't talked to them since the middle of December, so it was nice to touch base, see what's on their mind, see the new patterns coming out, and all of that jazz. Yeah, for me, it's hard to find the right project for variegated yarn, says Megan. Absolutely, I agree with that too. It does pool, and I think when the pooling kind of changes, it kind of looks like sin. But again, as a kid, I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty fun, but I think maybe as I've more matured, I prefer more symmetry, except for when it's not required. So anyway, it's been on my wall for like ever. And yet, you know, I've been to the tent sales when they used to have those, or when I used to go, and people would like scoop the variegator up like crazy. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But there's yarn for everybody. I don't know why in the hell I designed with a 6.5 millimeter size cake hook with this yarn. It doesn't feel right to me, but the sizing, it looks right. Yeah, things you think about later, right? So I'm currently making 2 videos at the same time. Both of them are hoodie cowls. I think that's trending this year, as always. So I'm making 2 at the same time. So the other one is in production. So I'm going to take it to the TV tonight and just continue to work on it. And this one here, I need to get 8 inches done. So I've already filmed the introduction and how to do it. And I said, when I come back, I'll have 8 inches done. So guess who's going to be hooking up for 8 inches? And it does go pretty quick, but it is the camel stitch. Why it's called that, I really honestly don't know. I just go along with whatever they say. Yep. So if anybody's feeling like chatty or anything, just leave me some comments in the box there. I can chew gum and crochet at the same time, apparently. So Daniel is working on a tufting project. Tufting is a form of carpet or wall tapestry. He got a gun that broke instantly, pretty much. So anyway, the replacement gun just came in today to be able to do it. So it's Tufting, tufting. Anyway, so a friend showed us a demonstration on how tufting is done, so he was so excited. So he is working on a flying puffin, which is a bird. He went on a puffin tour because puffins are where we live, not quite, but close. And anyway, so he went on this puffin tour many years ago during the heart of COVID. And he was just so fascinated by puffins anyway. That's why he went on the tour. I never went with them, but that's what he's making. Working on your woven stitch scarf this week. Glad to have something simple but new for me. It worked out just fine. Tufting is an indigenous, isn't it? Indigenous art form. I don't know. Is it? Like it makes carpets. So I don't know. I don't know what the origin of tufting is. One thing I really, really like, it's no longer here, but I really like antique rug hooking. Like with the fabric instead of the yarn. And I really love that form of art. I've never tried it, but I love it. A friend of mine, she died. She OD'd on medication and died. And so her family set up her wake, which I really didn't want to go to because I don't like those kind of things. But anyway, her wake looked like an art gallery of all of her rug hooking, like all of her rug hooking artwork that she had done. It was beautiful. So the casket was open. She was lying there, you know. But I had never known her to be quiet. So her lying in the casket was not fun. It's not something that I wanted to approach the casket with. I don't know why I don't. I'd rather remember somebody in the living form. But anyway, the funeral home was beautiful. So so whatever happened to her stuff, who knows? But what a way to go out, with all your creativity surrounding you at the end. The rugs are pretty easy. Every time I punch needle, my mind wanders to rug. So I want to try punch needle. I have tried ordering the punch needle tools a few times, but for some reason they're sold out. Or my order gets canceled or something. So I don't think it's meant to be for me, but I really want to try it. So Debbie is joining us this afternoon. So it's either hang out with you or turn on the TV and just crochet. I'm kind of over listening to music today. Okay, so Pandemonium is working on a blanket for their nephew. Am I staying warm? Absolutely. I'm Canadian. I can handle it, honestly. And the dogs have been out most of the day, which is shocking. But they can come in at any time. They're Great Pyrenees dogs, so they love this weather a lot. And so they'll lie on the snow and they'll sleep. And then when they get up, it's an ice patch that's below them after they're done, because I think their body heat is so powerful. Um, what blanket were you making on Instagram? Um, well, I think I posted many of them. I don't recall which one that would be because there were several. Because I don't know when you last saw it, but I don't know if the video is old either or the content is old. If you know the color, then maybe I can probably narrow it down. So we have Georgia in the house today, the state of Georgia. So I'm kind of working on content. We still have not been able to secure our retreat space for Reno or for Jimmy Beans yet. So I'm not sure it's going to happen at this point, but I'll have to figure out what that's going to look like when it happens. So I've been kind of working on content, assuming that I am going. Yeah. You said Karen made it, and you started Sunday. Oh, there was a that was the mountain mist blanket. Let me see if I can get you a link. I never did film it. Um, it's on my list. I just haven't got it. But the pattern's available if you don't need my help. The old photograph of the original is currently still there. So I will post it for you here. And that was what I was working on. Okay, so I'm working on a pink and white houndstooth blanket for somebody. So you keep them busy. So, hi, Mikey. It's a snowy day, and there's snow in Houston. Really, is that even a thing? I know it does go down that far, but that's got to be a rare thing, though, right? When I was a transport driver, which I've shared the story a few times, I ended up in Austin, Texas, and it was a snowstorm. And anyway, the Austin, Texas people just couldn't handle the snow, and I had my snow tires on because it was the middle of winter for us. So anyway, so I was blazing through along, and all the cars are like flying off the road like bumper cars because they really can't deal with this ice and snow very well because they're not used to it. So Donna's liking the inspired um, um, by by Grace, and your post office lost your your bags. So are they going to replace those? Or are they going to find like what's the step for that? Or do you think it's just still delayed? I don't think there's any more backpacks though. I heard it was snowing in Pencil. I think somebody mentioned it to me yesterday that it was going to be snowing in Florida. Um, yeah, show us what you're working on. So I'm just working on a cowl using the um, camel, the camel stitch. We got a little snow in San Antonio, Texas. Shut the city today. Oh my God. You know, there like snow really doesn't bother me, but there is a time to stay home, but and a time to play. It was snowing in Pensacola, in Florida. My mom and sister lived there. They sent me the video of it, and it was snowing pretty hard. So far, knock on wood, we haven't got a lot of snow here in Nova Scotia yet. And so some winters it can be bad, and other winters it's not much. So far, it's the not much category for now. But back at home in Ontario, I think they're getting their ass kicked. I think there was 40 inches of snow expected, I think, today, where we used to live. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I moved away. Okay, so we had snow on the weekend, but very low temperatures. So when you guys get snow in the south, is that like a 1 day thing out of the whole year, or do you get hit lots of times? So Starred 56 got some of our Crochet Crowd shirts. It was great material. Well, that's good. I always worry about that kind of thing. I have to order some shirts myself. I got to go on to. I get my shirts online only to menswear. Let me give you a link on that just in case you ask me about that. So it's a gay pride website, but the clothing is just top notch. To menswear. I will give you a link of where I get my clothing. Discount up to 50% off. Oh my God, I think I know what I'm doing. I've gained weight, so I need to get some new shirts. So those fancy like sheep shirts and other shirts are polos that you see me wear. They're from the menswear. Let's see the new arrivals now that I'm here. Let me actually, you know what? We can shop together. Let's shop together. Okay, let's do our presentate. Share screen. Let's see what we're gonna look for. We're gonna go look at menswear. Okay. Okay, so this is a gay pride website that I get all my shirts at. Some of the stuff I would not wear, period. Like that one. Riots, not diets. Anyway, so I'm looking for some stuff. Best sellers. Let's see what's hot. But their clothing is really good, like really good quality. And look at me being all festive and shit. The Rainbow Gradient jacket's kind of nice. I like. Let's take a look at tops. I'm looking for. I like a polo shirt. And the nice thing about it is that this website actually has, even though I have this one, even though I'm a fat guy, they have sizes for me. But again, see some of the stuff I would never wear. The pink one's kind of cute. So these polo shirts are pretty much anti-wrinkle as well. I have this guy. Oh, that's fun. So they have up to 3x. 20% off the third item, 30 off the fourth, 50 off the fifth. It's a sin. So I just like this place because I know that the clothing is so good. All right, yeah. Does Daniel steal your friend? No, I'm fatter than Daniel, so he can't wear my stuff. But anyway, I have this one. I love this shirt. I love this shirt. I have this one. Have I said that already? I love this shirt. Look, up to 5 extra large. See, big boy size. So I don't always like to wear gay pride stuff, but they have stuff that is kind of just fun. So I live in a village here in Nova Scotia, so shopping is not really a thing unless I go online. That's fun. I wonder if it comes with the muzzles. Oh my god, leopard. Oh my god. So yeah. So anyway, I gotta find some stuff. Oh, see that I like. Just it's kind of fun. Oh, maybe that one. Reading Rainbow. Anybody remember that show? See, now this is fun. I have this guy. Well, not him, but the shirt. I wonder if they have Canadian. They obviously have American stuff. What if there's Canadian? Oh, that's cute. And a little airplane. Daddy's boy. Oh my god. See, how do you wear that at the Tim Hortons? You don't. Okay, now this is cute. I like this one. So anyway, so that's kind of I'm gonna have to go shopping here later. I think they have pants too. Do you think that's really denim? Like some of these tops are. See, I like stuff like that too. It doesn't say what it is. A multicolor rainbow print casual denim. I haven't worn denim since I was a kid. Like, hmm. Art print, only $86 Canadian. That's pretty good. Okay. So, anyway, that's kind of where we're gonna go. Hmm. So, anyway, so that's kind of where I shop. It's either that or Walmart. And if I dress like Walmart, we all look the same locally because we're in a small area. And then my pants are from Amazon. Amazon Essentials, I guess, is the brand. Um, they're all Amazon Essentials. Hmm. I wonder if there is some more patterns on Ycom. I call your inspirations Ycom. Let's take a look and see what's over there. Um, okay, so looks like they got a brand new yarn. Karen, what was that? Karen what? Karen, just wait for that to come back. Karen Lacey, Colorama Lacey, what is that? So this is United States. Okay, so let's see if it's in Canada yet. If there's an X through it, that means it's not here yet. I'm live. Look at that yarn. It looks like a ribbon. Anybody seen that yet? Doggies. Selfie, you coming? No? Come on.
Guys, what are you doing?
They have a brand new yarn. Look at it.
Do they?
Yeah, what are you looking for?
Looking for blue.
Is it working?
Pardon?
Working?
There it is.
Is it working?
Yeah, it's working. Just, how do I thread this?
Sorry. So Karen Colorama.
What kind of yarn do they have? New yarn?
Yeah, look at this. Colorama Lacy.
Oh.
God, I think we've seen something like that before.
Oh. It's almost like it has that shimmer. I thought I just saw it in the studio.
Oh. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's almost like a ribbon, eh?
Yeah. Puppy Dog, can you just wait? I got a knot here. Bloody knots. Oh, man.
Let's take a look.
Oh, Puppy Dog. Okay, I'll let you out. Okay, Puppy Dog, out you go. Oh, Softy's going out first. Okay.
Interesting yarn.
Come on, out.
Okay, let's go back. Okay, all in one grain. I've seen that. Patchwork. Have you seen patchwork?
No, I haven't.
This is brand new, apparently. So these are the same size balls of Bernat blanket. They're just packaged differently.
Do you have scissors?
On the desk. Oh, that's fun.
Okay, I'm going back into the studio.
Okay.
Torture myself.
I think you either have to like color combinations or not do it, right?
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's not bad. You know, like it's basically one of those patterns where you don't have to think, and you just kind of do you.
Okay.
Okay, let's go, little guys.
Okay.
Little guy. Let's go for walking. I'm going back.
All Day Cotton I have not seen yet. The Biddy Stripes yarn is apparently #1. I ordered a whack of it on their 70% off sale. So we'll see what it looks like. I was going to attempt to knit this as a sample just to show people how to do it, but then I changed my mind. Oh, interesting. More inspirational images. Okay. I have not seen that. That's new. Bernat brands of color. What is that? This is a pattern available exclusively at Michael's. Oh, mystical. Oh my god, it's huge. This is Zen. See what happens when you go down the rabbit hole. You don't get nothing done. The bitty stripes. So has anybody tried the bitty stripes? I tried a bit of it in Entrelock. So if you are a Crochet Crowd member, meaning that you're a Password or Journey member, there is 2 videos so far for Entrelock for you. It will be on the public side eventually. So I have another Entrelock that I want to try as well. So I'm kind of cleaning up the Tunisian side of our YouTube channel as far as like library. The problem is that there's so much content that it's almost overwhelming. But if I start different YouTube channels, then it's a real pain in my ass because then I have to have different licenses. And I just don't feel like spending more money on that stuff. Mm-hmm. Right. So I really like the Entrelock. So a lady messaged, I assume lady was a female name, and she messaged that, she really wants to do the Entrelock in different sizes. And it's a message I keep getting over and over. So anyway, so I sucked it up last week and finally came up with some worksheets and then a big video on how it's done. So you can do any size Entrelock squares that you would like to do. And so anyway, I end up getting that done. So then it kind of inspired me. So I got rid of a video that had over 300,000 hits, and it was an Entrelock baby blanket because I had made errors in it. And one of my biggest problems that I had, which was driving me nuts for years and years and years, is that I didn't know what the stitch multiple was, because that's the first thing out of people's mouths. I don't want to do that. I want to change the size. And for some reason, for that Entrelock baby blanket, I could not figure it out. So I sat at my filming desk a couple days ago, and I'm like, I need to figure it out. So I drew like this chain on the desk, and every time I used a new chain, I checked it off. And then I eventually did figure out what the stitch multiple was, but it's been years. I've just kind of not figuring it out, and then people complaining that I haven't figured it out, and it's just one shit show after another some days. But anyway, I got it done, and we'll hopefully get that out. There's currently over, I think, 350 videos in the membership side for Journey members to access. The biggest hangup that we have is that we have to make sure that they are closed captioned before they go to the public. And Diane, our team member, works on those, and it takes her 11 minutes for every 1 minute of time of a video. So a 10-minute video is 10 minutes times 11 minutes, which is a lot of minutes, to be able to close caption that. So some of the bigger videos takes her quite some time. And so I never tell her what to CC. She just finds it and just does it. So I don't push her to do it because I just appreciate it getting done. Right? Yeah. So anyway, so when people harass me about CCing and the closed captioning, I really kind of resent it a lot because it does get done. It's just not necessarily right away. So I've learned now just to keep it on the membership side until it's ready to go to the public. So I'm working with the chart for the first time. I really like it. So are you talking the crochet diagrams? So I prefer crochet diagrams. That's how I learned to crochet as a kid, through the diagrams, because language is not my first. I know the F word really well, but other words I don't know very well. I get bored reading instruction, so I like crochet diagrams. It keeps me interested in the pattern. So I started 56. It is the crochet diagram. So I love the crochet diagrams. So anyway, you may know the story. So I get contracted for a test trial by Red Heart back in 2012. And they give me a test trial and they say, do this pattern and video and let's see how you teach. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, I'll continue this. There is room on the cruises. Alaska, there's still space available for the workshops if you're interested. If you want to get a hold of our agent, just fill out the form and our agent will get a hold of you. It's available through our website if you want that. So anyway, so they gave me a thing and I'm like, well, where is the diagram? And they said there is no diagram. So Red Heart was never a big component of doing crochet diagrams because they're expensive to make because they take a long time. And they require a lot of finesse. And so I really struggled, but I eventually did get contracted by Red Heart for a couple of years. But I really struggled and I thought to myself, my God, I'm actually going to have to learn how to read the damn patterns, because I was only touching stuff that had a diagram. But I will say I only buy a book, a crochet book, if it has a diagram. So if it doesn't have a diagram, I don't buy it. It's just a personal preference of mine. Right. So the crochet diagrams took me a long time to understand how to make them. And there are programs out there, but they suck so bad, like really bad. So they just don't have the the finesse of the look. And maybe if I was actually smarter, but crochet is such a small world that I learned how to make a program that actually can do it properly. But I think that's asking a lot. Yep. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on around here. Not much. So I accidentally got somebody's order delivered to me by accident from Yarn Inspiration. So tomorrow I'm going to have some free yarn to give away to my local stitch group. So I contacted you. So I think my order got, I think the label got switcheroed. So I contacted Yarn Inspiration. I'm like, I have so-and-so's package here. What do I do with it? And they're like, well, just keep the yarn and we'll send you a replacement. So anyway, but it's not colors that I would want to play with. So I'm just going to give it away locally here to some local stitchers tomorrow night. So it will not go to waste. But what was kind of more interesting is that the person that got their switch, they actually got prototype yarn that's not even out yet. So wherever it went, somebody has just made their day of seeing yarn that doesn't exist. So, so I had over an hour meeting yesterday with the Yarn Inspirations. This is my first one since the middle of December. So we were yapping about many different things new for this year. So it looks like it's going to be a fun year overall. I still say Afghan stitch. Yes, I'm old. I think it's still called an Afghan stitch. What do I call it? A Tunisian hook or an Afghan hook or a crochet hook? I don't have one at my desk. It's definitely on the filming studio. So I'm currently working on week number 4, the stitch along. So one of our members, Journey members, they have access to the pattern already that I'm working through because Anyway, one person actually found some mistakes in it, so she got a hold of me and we got to have that fixed up. So I saw a couple more mistakes yesterday, so I gotta update the article. And it's just such minor stuff. It's just an extra period, or it's the same sentence twice in the same instruction where it's a paste and copy error. So I think a lot of the mistakes in the patterns end up being a paste and copy error, at least for me. When Daniel was actually doing our books for us, he would paste and copy, but then he would drop it in a box, but the box would not have the complete pattern, and he wouldn't notice that the box was not holding the whole pattern. It was like a spillover into space somewhere. So, so a lot of the errors in patterns are not necessarily always the writer, but sometimes it's the layout of the pages too. So one thing I stopped doing is I stopped making a custom PDF like I used to, because it's a lot more work, and I can just download it from our system and just plop it in, and it's less ink as well. So they returned. So Webster, well, maybe your yarn was worth probably more than Yarn Inspirations yarn was worth. That's probably why they asked you to return it, or maybe it was a limited quantity. I don't know. So Tammy is joining us at the moment. Hadn't even placed an order. I haven't even placed an order at all. Oh, well, then that's why you're probably returning it. Well, how'd they get your information then? That's a really good question. How's your weather? It was -10 this morning. It's pretty chilly, but not chilly enough not to leave house. So we have New Zealand in the house with Annie. What time is it in New Zealand? I was talking to Daniel last week, and I said, if I could move anywhere in the world, it'd either be Australia or New Zealand. I loved it when I was out there visiting. I think that struck me the most is just the sound of the birds and stuff. It sounded really peaceful and almost tropical. How do I find a matching solid if it's a different brand? That is a great question. I really honestly don't know that answer. I don't know if there's websites that can do that. So how do you keep your stuff organized? It's a mess. I have a little box on my desk that I got. I think it's a box that you normally put in a drawer. And anyway, it's holding all my hooks and crap off camera because I just ran out of space. Are you able to move to New Zealand, a new country, for at least a few years? I don't know. Maybe you can apply. I'm not going to move, but it's kind of wishful thinking. I have it good where I am. So I don't organize stuff. If I don't organize, I buy it again. I am guilty for that, 100%. I need to, I've been thinking all day about getting out to the studio to make a little gadget that I need. So these stupid little, I did a or a review on those, um, the knockoff yarn genies, wool genies. And anyway, I would like to take it. I'd like to keep the magnet and I would like to keep the hanging spindle, but I would like to change the platform so that it holds bigger balls and it doesn't interfere. If you saw that video, the ball interferes with the tower. Anyway, it's driving me nuts. So anyway, I just want to make a new tower and maybe make it like a toilet paper roll, like there's multiple. Um, So what I was thinking is that this piece here, this comes out, right? So then I would attach that and just lean it a little bit forward like this and get it away from the back wall because it's pretty damn inconvenient. But I know my woodworking skills, they suck. Do the towers allow you to pull from the center at all? No, these are meant for the outside pull. So maybe a slanted base. So yes, I can slant the base, but then this thing falls over. So I tried putting something behind to make it slant, but it just falls over. So I need to get it more of a firm base. But I don't want a big footprint on my desk as far as like how much space it takes. I actually thought about maybe getting a Lazy Susan, putting something to the middle of that, and then attaching those to like a tower. So because I have multiple of these now, that I could just turn the tower when I'm changing out yarn. If I'm using the same, if I'm using um, multiple colors in one project. The problem with this is that the magnet only has so much strength. So if the ball's too big, the magnet's not strong enough to hold the ball. But so far it's been good. It's just you're just limited to some degree with that. I have looked up on Amazon on getting magnets that have a point on it, but I never saw anything. And because I would like probably make some spindles that would be a little bit longer. Yeah. I just don't want to buy something for the sake of buying something. I want to have a plan. Maybe Walmart sells Lazy Susans. I don't know. Do you think they would? I don't even know if they would. Tried the Earth magnets. They are super strong, and they are, but they are not convex. It's convex is maybe what I'm looking for. I was trying to think of what the term would be. So convex is the term. It's all about the point. It's got to be pointed so it floats on the magnet. So we got Tammy and friends joining us today. The live hasn't been that exciting there, Charles. I'm stitching in between the video when I said I'll come back in just a few seconds. So I'm doing the work so I can come back in a few seconds. But I got to do 8 inches of it before I can come back. So I have a Lazy Susan attachment. You remember in the old days that people on their desks that would stamp stuff, they would have like this Lazy Susan of stamps that are holding. That's kind of what I need. Something like that. I just don't want anything tacky, and I'm concerned if you buy anything online, it's so cheap that it just falls apart in 2 seconds. Cheap in a not fun way. I got one off my suit, off the spice rack. If the spindle is convex pointed, the holder can be an earth magnet. Oh, I see. Feels like you colonoscope filing that claim with the post office. That sucks. I gave away. I only had one bag, Celia, and I gave it away. So I gave away the only bag that I had, which was the prototype. So Charles worked on at the perfect time of inches. Let me guess, Charles, are you on my side of the fence? Because I seem to be collecting a lot of gays lately. I don't know what's that about. So yeah, that's what it looks like so far. It's kind of neat, right? So it's got a bit of stretch to it. So somebody says they are now because they logged in. That's funny. Mm-hmm. So Yarn Inspirations ordered a stitch along to be made for the summer. So I have to start designing something. We don't know what yarn it's going to be, so I got to design a prototype with just spare yarn, and then once they know what yarn for me to use, then they'll assign me, and then I'll have to remake the sample again. Did I make the birds behind me? No, a local artist used to make puppets, and so those actually look like Muppets. Um, they're really, really well done. So a local artist has made like several of those things. They were in an art gallery, not too far from here. And then the birds behind me, the seagulls, is another local crocheter. And I don't know what the free pattern is. I don't know what the pattern is. I don't think it's free, but I never asked her because I told her that I would not bother to look it up. But it's done with those birds are done with Bernat blanket yarn. So I call them my pattern gulls. They actually might be. I'm not even going to commit to it, but those could actually be a little pattern to make as a raffle off, or for the Nova Scotia trip for the crocheters that come in. Whether people have space in their luggage, I don't know. Is it difficult to design a prototype without the actual yarn you'll be using? It can be, but I've not. I always use Karen Cotton Cakes for my prototypes, so I have a lot of it as spare. Because I can continue to frog and frog and frog with that yarn without it looking like shit. So I tend to use that yarn. the question really for me is, do I use a 5mm or a 5.5mm? That's the biggest question. So the smaller the hook, the longer it takes to make the sample, and the longer it takes because you have to add more rounds to get it to be bigger. Or if you just go up by 0.5 mm, it actually makes a huge difference. Have I heard about the new nooking crochet technique? I've heard of nooking. I didn't think nooking was anything new. Is there a new version of that? I kind of stayed away from nooking. I didn't like the marketing of the nooking, to be honest with you, so I kind of stayed away from it. I think the manufacturer at the time wanted me to put out ads on my website, which at the time I was accepting, but I don't accept that anymore. But the online purchase price was more expensive than the local Walmart, and I thought, you know what, I am not putting it on my website because you can just run to Walmart and buy it for cheaper than what they were selling it for, and it was the same product. Yeah. So the deal was that they would give me a percentage of the sales, but then I'm thinking, if anybody's got access to Walmart, because it seems to be everywhere, I will never get compensated for the effort I put into it because people would just go buy it at Walmart. So I decided not to do that. So Charles is now just hearing a nooking. I never did it. I've seen it done. It looks inconvenient to me, but that's just an opinion. How's my miniatures coming along? Sucking. It's just I'm kind of stuck in my miniature right at the moment. I'm currently doing a tea house, but I am stuck on the damn signage. So Daniel says just to put it off to the side and start something else. But for whatever reason, the signage of this little tea shop is bothering me so much that I'm stuck. So, do you want to see my little tea house? I can show you. I think everything's screwed down, so everything should be okay. So this is my little tea shop. So I'm currently working through it. And so if you look really carefully, you can see inside the windows, and it lights up if you really want it to. And so I had to put some resin into the bird bath there. And so a lot of this stuff is from my local miniature shop. Some of it from Michael's. But so I got to make a new flower arrangement for the yellow vase. The yellow vase, I turned that with a little mini pottery wheel. Yeah. So yeah, so inside, I don't know if you'll see a lot of reflection, but inside, you can actually see a lot of little detail. There's coffee cups, there's servers, there's little sippy cups, there is serviettes, there's plates, all within the windows. So the paper boy has just stopped to grab a little snack. So his papers are still in the front of with the bike. And then a local potter did the little cat that is on there, that's on the stoop. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just kind of stuck. So anyway, so I started that hobby last year. So it's an expensive little hobby, but it's fun. So there was cake in the window for because it's cooling down, and it's just cute little detail. But it takes time, and that's kind of where I'm going with that. So I have some miniatures behind me. My local spa that I go to because I have a foot problem, so they take care of me twice a month. So they usually have one of my miniatures at the spa. So these are that's a witch's convenience store, and then this is my bedroom as a child. So yeah. So the miniatures always cost more. Damn right they do. But I enjoy the hobby a lot. What's the name of the so the name of the tea shop so far, but I'm not going to commit 100%, was going to be called Teabag. Charles will want to know what that is. So so that's kind of, I just don't know where to go with it. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm gonna eventually give them away, and eventually they'll end up probably in a garage sale or whatever. But I don't sell any of my stuff. Somebody did offer me an obscene amount of money for the nutcrackers, the crochet nutcrackers, an obscene amount. And I said no. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So teabag, yes, I know. Figured so. So yeah. So actually, I was thinking about, now that Charles knows what it is, I was thinking about putting like a pocket or something after prison break. Yeah. So Keisha, the teabag. So that seemed to have woken up Keisha. So anyway, so we're setting up our dining room to have like local artists that we've collected over the years, all from the Maritimes. And I'm like, the only artist that's missing is myself. So I'm making these things for my dining room area. So it's that kind of shop. Well, I don't know. The group of us came up, if there's going to be a stripper bar in this. So Daniel wants 9 of these little these little fronts. So my local supper group, we were talking about making one of them a strip club. And there was, oh my God, I forgot the name that we were going to call it, but they came up with the name, and I'm like, I totally got to do that. But I don't remember the name. But I can just, so I wouldn't have to do much with the windows. I would just have to put like red curtains on there or something. So I don't know. I forget the name of it. It was so funny. Well, at least it was to our group. Yeah, I don't remember. But the whole idea is that it's a non-existent little town here in Nova Scotia, and there are the storefronts that you would see in a little town here in Nova Scotia. So I want to do a little flower shop, at least. So you're gonna call it, how do you say the Xers? X. Oh, I see what you're saying. This is the first time I caught you live from Northern California. Northern California. How far north are you in California? I've been to California a few times. I used to be a transport driver, as most of you know. So I ended up in the redwoods near there because apparently you guys grow a type of lily that is only grown in Nova Scotia or in Northern California, and the bulbs got shipped back here to Canada. So they were pulling them out of the ground when I got there in the transport, and they were loading up my truck with them. And it is a long ass drive from California all the way back across to the Maritimes. Close to Chico. I have no idea where that is, but I can look that up online. So looking forward to seeing all the miniatures. Yeah, I don't want to ever teach it. I don't want to turn it into a business. So somebody says, you should like record the steps that you're doing. I'm like, no, I shouldn't. I'm doing that enough with crochet. I don't want to take the miniatures into an area because then everybody gets all judgy and shit that you should have did it this way. And I'm like, I just want to enjoy the craft without the obligation to doing it right because I'm still learning. So it's farmland and pretty rural. So businesses can totally. That's why I don't want to sell my crochet. I don't want to turn that into that part of the business. I'd rather just teach it and then give away the sample. So if you turn it into a job, it loses its magic. It totally does. Keisha, you're making so much sense today. So there is a right and wrong with miniatures. I'm sure of it because I cut corners. But my storefronts, I want to make it look like it had been painted a few times. Like it's not a fresh building look because my bits and boys shop that I did, um, it looks pretty rustic. So I want to keep that kind of vibe going because that's what you would see here in Nova Scotia. It's that old town rustic vibe. There's purists for everything. Mm-hmm. So I catch more tutorials on the tablet than I do lives, says Tammy. Um, I love how non-PC I am, non-politically correct. I struggle. That's the hardest thing about YouTube. I wish that I could be more myself, but you have to restrain yourself in some way. So originally the Crochet Crowd channel here was not a Crochet Crowd. It was actually it was just a username and it was a trucker video, and then I would do gay commentary, and I could not handle the comments of doing stuff like that. And so I got rid of the gay commentary. It was originally a trucker channel, so I got rid of the trucking videos out of the channel because it seems like truckers and gays don't get along in the same space apparently. So, and then it switched over to crochet, and that's where I found my niche. But on the true side of it though, is like the gay side of myself was really acting. It wasn't myself because I'm not that flamboyant as I was projecting. So it just wasn't who I was, and I realized pretty like within 6 months that you're trying to put on a facade, and my life was in ruins, and I'm trying to pretend that it's not, and it's like, ugh. And so it's better to be authentic on YouTube than it is to project a life you don't have. But then on the flip side of that, your life becomes can become a commentary for what you're doing wrong with your life and stuff, because a lot of people have opinions. So that's always the downside. So it was all my fault that $200 was flying off your debit card. Well, if you were buying on that sale, sweetie, you're saving money. Don't even go there. You're just looking for somebody to blame for your own need of like saying, yes, I need that in my life. Please ship it like right away. Yep. So nice try, Cindy. I will not accept that projection. So anyway, so who knew? So this, what's kind of funnier to me, that maybe it's not funny to you, but so I used to do drag, and I was never very good at it. And honestly, I couldn't do the makeup worth a damn. But I really enjoyed it, and I really wanted to kind of make a difference, trying to be a mentor for people in my lifestyle. And I realized that it sucked. And so I just always wanted to be that person that would kind of help somebody along. And so the whole idea of putting YouTube videos together for crochet was a complete accident. And I accidentally fell into what I really wanted to do with my life, and it was just a complete fluke. And the only thing that I ran into right at the very beginning is that because I'm Canadian, I never learned crochet from um, an American perspective. So my books and everything that I still had were still um, non-American. So I was actually teaching UK method of crochet because I didn't know any better, because Canadian. So why would you question that? So anyway, so I got so tired of people just going after me saying, that's not a double crochet. And what about it? Like, sure it is. And so or a single crochet. And I'm like, and I would flip back to the book after like a gazillion comments. Like, I don't know what these people are talking about. And so finally, somebody without an attitude problem from the US messaged me and said, you're teaching UK. I don't know if you know that. And I'm like, UK what? And so I had no idea that America has different terms. But when I came onto the scene, we were already flipping over in Canada to the Americanized terms, which I didn't know because all my books and stuff were from when I was a kid. Right. So I think what is a treble crochet equals double crochet. Yeah. Yeah. It was just a mess. Just a mess. But it's so funny because people are so quick to attack without giving feedback to what is wrong. And so somebody just identified and said, you're teaching UK method. And all that's all it took. I was like, what are you talking about? So that I dug into Google and I learned that there was two different methods. So I don't call it American method, American terms. I call it North American terms, because in Canada, we've pretty much switched over as well. The only thing we have not switched over to is the crochet hook sizes. So because I'm Canadian and I want to honor it, that's why I always say the metric first, because we're in a metric system up here, millimeters, centimeters, and etc. So out of respecting my country, I always say the millimeters of the hook first. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that, but it's true. So even in the patterns, the metric goes first. So yeah. So Red Heart wanted me, when I was back with Red Heart back in 2013, they wanted me to do two different types of videos, because they had a presence in the UK. So they wanted videos in UK terms and as well as North American terms, and I couldn't do it because I had switched over a few years earlier before Red Heart. I lost the ability to look at the stitch and call it the UK name like I used to be able to do. It was no longer a natural thing. So, and then I find with the metric system too, it's a more accurate size. So the H hook, I think it's J. The boy hooks, for whatever reason, J can be two different things. It could be it could be 5.5, or it could be 5.75. So it's easier just to use the metric. Excuse me. Oh my God, all over my shirt. How gross is that? Oh my God. Right on camera too. I'll save that for later. Little snack. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. So nobody's complaining about anything. That's the rule today. I had a firm comment this morning, but it's just the person's not wrong. The problem with our tutorials, and that I started recently, I almost want to say about 2 years ago, that I put a date of the PDF in the video description, because the Yarn Inspirations, I think around 2019, started putting dates on their patterns. And so I put the date of of the PDF that I filmed into the video description, so that if the pattern ever changes and there's a new PDF, then my video becomes obsolete. And that's kind of what happened with the spider web blanket. So originally, so Yarn Inspirations designs for Joanne and Michael's when it's a Yarn Inspirations brand. So anyway, I was using the original paperwork from the Joanne version on the pattern that was filmed 8 years ago. And so I saw it, and I'm like, and I could see that Joanne's logo was on it. So I'm like, and then I looked at the pattern, and it had been updated back to Yarn Inspirations in 2019. So I realized that the pattern that I originally used has probably been changed. So anyway, I moved them up. The pattern still works. It's just I moved it to membership side so that it will no longer be indexable for the general public, so they won't have anything to complain about. So we have Jacqueline all the way from Ireland in the house today. But there is a fine line of people leaving nasty comments versus, is it real or is it just them? And so it's, sometimes you have to be open-minded and just listen. So I don't know. Then I had another person today telling me that I needed to do a pattern in video format as soon as possible, because her little girl has a birthday party coming up next week. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. I'm not sitting here waiting for requests. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm currently making a cowl with the camel stitch. So the stitches look like they're almost knitted. So the camel stitch uses the back bar of a half double crochet, so it doesn't use the tops of the stitch, but it's not the back post, it's the back bar, if you're ever looking that up. Currently also working on with the stitch library, I think has, the stitch library has videos on everything that has been done so far. And it's all in the stitch library. So I don't know if you've ever looked up stitch libraries on my channel, but there's actually a special stitch library, and then there's also Tunisian stitch library, and there's also a combination or basic stitch library. So the basics are what you would run into if you were new to crochet: single crochet, double crochet, and all those. And then the special ones are like when there's a combination of stitches or something unique. So the camel stitch here which is using the back horizontal bar, would be a special stitch because it's not something you see in typical everyday patterns. So you can, so not all stitches have the back bar, so half double crochet does have it. Double crochet has it too, but it's really hard to get to and it's really bloody inconvenient. So it doesn't always work. So yes, I have all of them and some I've never done. So yeah. So some people think they can just snap their fingers. Well, let me tell you, but snapping fingers. I actually had a really horrible situation. I did a store visit once. And anyway, so the mother decides that she's going to teach her kid to crochet at my table. And so she drags her kid. The kid does not want to learn how to crochet. So when I say kid, I'm talking teenager. And the girl just protested left, center, and right. And so I just kind of sat back because, you know, that's a mother-daughter relationship. I'm not getting involved with that drama. And so I was just kind of listening away. And the mother is trying to involve me in her drama. And I'm like, oh, fuck, just leave me alone. And so it turns out that the girl was left-handed. And so the mother is insisting on teaching this girl right-handed crochet. And so this kid can't get it because her hand is not dominant to be able to move the hook. And I said to the mother, I said, why are you not teaching left? And she goes, well, I want her to learn right so we can crochet together. And I said, well, you're not going to crochet together at this point because the kid doesn't want to learn. So anyway, because we had left-handed tutorials available on the channel, I pulled out my phone and I opened it up and I gave her left-handed lessons watching my phone instead of me teaching. And so the mother's like, no, no, no. And I said, can you just like go shopping? You know, give me 30 minutes with your kid and just leave us alone. And by the time that 30 minutes was done, this kid was crocheting with her left hand. And she was actually enjoying herself. But I think it was just the peer pressure of a parent just trying to push their agenda onto their kid. It just wasn't working. Right. So I don't know. When my mom taught me to crochet as a kid, she was literally cooking dinner the moment she taught me. So she would give me some instruction and then walk away into the kitchen, stir the whatever she was making. Um, and then I honestly think she just held out in the kitchen and just let me find my way. And I found my way for sure. And if I had any questions, she would come out. But I think the act of her just walking away and letting me just give me what I'm looking for and those extra tips, but not the pressure of standing there watching me, I think was the biggest difference for me. So I think that was happening with the kid, just the pressure. So anyway, so that was kind of one of those things. So I sometimes think we have unrealistic expectations, as somebody was saying about the finger snapping of doing stuff. So Ellen's Crochet is here with us today. So, okay, so Tammy's saying the mother was a different, just sat across the way. See, now you're making sense, Tammy. So I don't understand why I do understand the mother insisted she learned with the same hand. So anyway, so just kind of just sitting here, just hooking out. So has anybody got any customer service call ideas? I did a couple this afternoon, but I'm amazed though. People will take the time to find my email, but will not take the time to Google. That's actually a real situation. I see that on social media too, where people will request to find something and yet they don't make any effort to find it. So they're making other people do the search. And maybe they're not capable, but I think a lot of it is just laziness because it's easier to bang it into social media and let other people do it. So somebody says, "Oh, Jilly finished the scarf with the bitty stripes." That yarn is fun. So does my mom still crochet? No. My mom, my mom, my mom had a strange, estranged relationship with my dad's parents, and my dad is from the UK, so my mom was trying to fit into a family that doesn't really want her. So we went out to England to visit, and it was the first time I can remember going to England. I had gone when I was really young, but I don't remember. But anyway, my mom was kind of like the butt end of the jokes out there. So on the way back from England, when I was in grade 9, um, my mom was served alcohol on the plane. And what I did not know about my mom is that my mom was a hardcore alcoholic. So, and I have a very brief memory of my mom driving drunk as a kid, but I always thought it was kind of a dream. And I remember us kids all crying and my dad yelling at her to stop driving and pull over. But I always thought it was kind of a dream. So my mom was served alcohol on the plane, and that changed the trajectory of my life drastically. So when I say that I got a job when I was 12 and then 13, because I worked at Tim Hortons, a coffee shop, when I was 13, and then that got me out of the house because when I was coming home from school, my mom would be drunk. And my mom would only buy one can of beer at a time. And so she would have to drive herself to the liquor store to get more beer and buy one more can. But she would do it driving drunk. And so I realized that if I got a job, that I would not be home as often. But it was that job that literally made me enough money to buy my first brand new car cash and bought my tuition for college for 2 years because I saved up all my money from this job of working in a retail shop. And so my childhood after I was like as a teenager is memories of my mom drinking a lot. But because I was working so much, I never saw a lot of it because it got me out of the house, right? So, so I decide that after high school, if I want to go to college, my parents were always very adamant, saying, if you want to go to college, you have to pay for it. And because they instilled that when we were still in primary school, the mission was for me is to make enough money in my job so that I could afford to go to college. And that's exactly what I did. So the same program of my college program today, I think it's $35,000, but at the time it was only $3,000. So it was very possible for me to go to college because of it. Um, so And then the other rule that they had is that they said once you were done college, so I graduated college when I was 18. So I was never allowed in the college pub, nothing like that, because I was too young, because drinking is at the age of 19. So I literally graduated from college at the age of 19, and they said you were done college, you were now going to pay $50 a week for rent. So, and at the time, it's a lot of money, but I have a job and I'm going to do it. But I realized that if I just split a real rent somewhere else with somebody else, that for an extra $100, I would have my own space. And so I moved out of the house when I was 18, and not because of anger. It's just because it was just cheap. It was just as cheap just to live on your own than it was to stay home. And so because I had my car that I bought, and I had my education behind me, and because my parents taught me to be independent, that was it. And so I guess the long answer to your story, or the short answer really is that my mom crocheted and knit a lot when she was drunk. And so my mom eventually gets arrested and ends up spending time in the drunk tank. And it reformed her. It scared the hell out of her, to be honest. And so for her, crochet and knitting is too memorable of that time, right? And my dad wasn't very nice to her either. So it's just a lot of just psychological crap. So really, she was turning to the drinking because the marriage was sucking, and so as a result, the rest of us kind of, you know, kind of struggled a bit. And what's more interesting is that, so my brother is 4 years younger. You never hear me talking about him because I don't know who he is as a person. So I moved out at the age of 18, and I never looked back. And so my brother is only 4 years younger, so he was being 14. So he went through his high school years and the whole rest of it into his adulthood, and I barely ever went home, right? So I really don't know my brother at all. I think honestly, if I saw him in the street, I probably wouldn't recognize him. I haven't seen any photos of him or anything. Yeah. So my parents are both still living in Ontario. So he eventually remarried somebody else, and my mom went through a very difficult time. So, some people kind of comment that, well, you never talk about your parents or whatever. I just don't think some parents and children are meant to spend a lifetime together. I think it could just be a stage or a step, and I think that's exactly where I fall. And you see it in the animal kingdom anyway, where the birds leave the house, the nest, and they never return. I think in my case, that was true in my case as well. And then when I came out of the closet, that kind of just fucking finished everything. It just game over. So I took a very long break from my parents, and then by the time I went back, I realized that I didn't know who these people were. So that just kind of finished all of that off for me. So anyway, so I'm just commenting that I think everybody has their stories that are probably similar to that. Yeah. So we have what's that in the house? Wichita. It's in the house. So a successful parent raises their kid to be success. I don't know. I think it's definitely harder than today than it was probably back then. So how old was I? I was 14. So, and I was so suicidal as a kid that the crochet for me was the way to be able to cope and get through the evenings. Grade 9, lots of attempts. I had rope burn around my neck. I had a lot of shit going on, and my headspace was just a mess. So because I had moved a lot as a kid, I got humiliated at a brand new school. So I had moved to this neighborhood 2 days before school started, and it was the first time in high school, and I had this asshole just keep trolling me in the goddamn halls, um, and have this sick nature to pull down my pants, and I was humiliated. And so to this day, I always wear a belt. I cannot wear pants without a belt. So because we were not a well-off family, I wore track pants, and it was just an invitation to have my pants ripped down to my ankles. And I was humiliated. And then the asshole decides that he's telling everybody that my sister and I are having sex. And I just didn't know how to cope. And it was just horrendous. I never told my parents, but I just couldn't function. I didn't know I was gay back then. I knew something was weird, but I didn't know what it was. And I just could not shake that. So, so in high school, I kid you not, every day I went to the library and I wrote a suicide note over my lunch. And then by the time I finished my lunch, I'd rip up my letter and throw it in the garbage. And it was just horrendous. It was just horrendous. It was 4 years of hell. And I did not feel like a regular person until I went to college, and I realized that your differences are what makes you you. It makes you special. But in high school, if you do not conform into what others want you to be, you're just basically in trouble. So, um, so one of the things for me as an adult, I never had kids because I never want to put somebody on this earth to go through what I went through. And it was like, that was game over for me. Just done. And so anyway, so that's kind of, so for crochet for me is not necessarily a fun hobby. It's a coping mechanism. Right. But anyway, that was kind of, so anyway, it wasn't until college that I realized, holy shit, I actually am not such a loser like I thought I was. But it was just awful. Yeah. So anyway, so somebody says I'm making a difference. So I have a hard time believing that. I think it's possibly true, but I have a hard time accepting that. I don't take a compliment as well. I have a lot of emotional damage, but I think a lot of us do, right? Yeah. So anyway, so that was kind of my thing. So I never told a soul in high school that I could crochet because I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so then one of the things that happened to me, so I was buying yarn at one of the yarn shops, and the woman says, "Oh, is this for your mother?" And I'm like, "No, it's for me." And I felt completely humiliated by this woman. And I thought, God, if I ever did something in my life, is to make yarn acceptable so that a little boy can go to a yarn shop and buy yarn the without the without the judgment. And so at the time, the crochet hooks were pink and whatever. I can handle pink, but if you're a boy and you're having so much society pressure like that, that's the last thing you want in your hand. So over time, the hooks have changed. Some are just general black or brown or whatever. They're no longer like this pinky girly thing. So yeah. So yeah, that was kind of my story. So my teacher in grade 5 or grade 4, she brought in her weaving loom and showed us how to do the weaving. And actually, I've been in touch with my teacher since. I actually thought she long did because you think your teachers are a lot older than they really are. So anyway, I have chatted with her on and off over the last couple of years, And she was really the inspirational to get me into the yarn arts a lot, other than my mother, or alongside my mother. And anyway, I decided that she had a weaving loom, so my parents bought me a Fisher Price or some kind of plastic loom. It's actually in the book, my book that I wrote. And anyway, I took it to school, and these boys got a hold of it when I was in grade 4 and snapped my loom in half because I had begged for it. I got it for Christmas. I was so excited. I was making my own scarves, and these assholes just grabbed my loom and snapped the cross beams, making my loom garbage. And I was devastated. So in high school, I knew to keep my mouth shut about crochet after going through that earlier. And the problem was is that the loom set was pink and beige. It was just not great. Right. So yeah, anyway. So more men are crocheting. A lot of men are kind of like me, special. But so somebody's crocheting because of autoimmune diseases. Yeah. So you have the dogs. I never want kids, honestly. After what I've gone through as a child, I never want kids in my life. I was a step parent for a few years, and that was so difficult that I would never wish that on anybody. Just I'm not meant to be a parent. So yeah. I want to be able to leave my house without having to worry about feeding another child or another mouth other than my own partner. And the dogs are not the same, but if you get my drift. So yeah. So I am a parent of 2 autistic kids, says Angela. Yeah. So Yarn Inspirations even knows that I'm not comfortable with kids, so they don't team me up with anything kid related. It just makes me so uncomfortable, which I highly respect a lot. I had to do it once, and I was like, no, it's enough for me. So Tommy is a stepmother and a mother, and would never want to go through the first one ever again. The step parent situation was awful. Um, it was just horrendous. I would be asked to stay out of the photographs because the relationship, um, my partner was never sure that I was ever going to be long term, so they didn't want me in some of the photos so that I don't ruin the photos in the memories if anything happened with our relationship, which it did, obviously. Um, so it was like game over, done. And the other thing that was a problem that I openly admit to is that I am very much all about education. Get your education behind you so that you can be a successful parent or adult. But my partner wasn't in that because he just happened to have good luck and had a good job. And so he was never the parent to push the kids to do better, and I was the parent to push the kids to do better, show up for the teacher parent teacher interviews. I would show up, he would not, and so it really put a strain on there. And right near the end of that relationship, I showed up at the school for the boy because he was slacking off, and so I showed up, and he was devastated. He says he's going to have to explain that he has gay parents, and he didn't want to because I had showed up, and he was crying in the hall. And I left that school absolutely just deflated that what in the hell am I doing being a part of this child's life? And our relationship finished a few weeks after that. Like, you have to walk away at some point and just not um, and not be part of that. And that's kind of what finished me. So anyway, So I didn't want him to have to explain who I was or what I was. And I thought, So one of the things that this is not going to make me popular, but what's about to come out of my mouth is that I sometimes think that the gay parents, especially gay men, when they have kids and they adopt, they may not realize the social pressure of what the kid is going to go through of having to explain what their parents are. And that's something I experienced firsthand that I would never wish for somebody to go through what I did, because I was absolutely devastated because I just wanted the best for this kid. So anyway, that's kind of my long story. So anyway, so that was yeah, that's a pretty heavy topic. So I had somebody step forward a few years ago and say that I'm their long lost child, that whatever, and I'm like, that is not even bloody possible. I was married, but my wife never had a uterus, so that was never a thing, and it was the only woman I was ever with. I'm like, you are not my kid, so don't even go there. So anyway, so Mikey, it's not always like that. No, I agree, but in my situation, it was, and it was hell. But we lived in a little town, and I guess it couldn't be worse that way too. So I just read Kit's update. I won't read that out loud, but yeah. So anyway, so I'd rather keep people at a distance. That's probably why we never have allow people to step on the property here. Just keep people at an arm's length away. Even my friend Karen, like, give me a warning before you come. And it's not because I don't trust her. It's just it's more of a, we have the dogs here that are here, but I also want to know if somebody's gonna show up. So yeah. So that's kind of our thing. So am I got 8 inches done at this damn thing yet? I've been working on it this whole broadcast. Let's see where I am. You would think I would know what 8 inches look like. Oh my god. It's 8 inches. Talented. Just gotta rip out a couple more stitches. There you go. Done. So I'll be ready to film again. So there is my camel stitch shawl or cowl. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the filming desk, and I'm not gonna try it on yet. I don't want to stretch it without the hood on it, and then it can be stretched at the same time. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for now. Heavy topics, long afternoon. What time is it? It's now 5:20 in my time zone here in the Atlantic coast. It's almost dark out, and that's it. Okay, have a good one, and I'm gonna go back to the filming desk. My phone's over there too. See you all later, and have a great afternoon.